Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
What are we doing today?
Today we're going to be looking at Viticulture.
And Tuscany.
Yeah.
These games are produced by Stonemaier Games. And when you play with Tuscany, you can play 1 to 6 players. And they recommend ages 14 and up.
Yep.
Can take you up to 2 hours to play.
There you go. Alright, so we just wrapped up a series of videos where we did playthroughs for Viticulture 2nd Edition. Viticulture with all the modules from Tier 1 of Tuscany. Viticulture with all of the modules from Tier 1 and 2 of Tuscany. And then another one with all of that plus one module from Tier 3, one module from Tier 3, and the last module from Tier 3.
Right.
So 6 full games exploring everything that Viticulture and Tuscany has to offer.
Exactly.
Whew.
I feel like I got really good at playing Viticulture and Tuscany.
Yeah. Although there was always something to, like, because we played them without having played them before.
Right. We were exploring them for the first time live on camera. So sometimes there were things that were very distracting and exciting to play with.
Exactly, yeah. I feel that I got much better at playing Viticulture and Tuscany since I lost the first 3 games.
Well, it's a spoiler. They might be watching this first.
Ooh, yeah, watch the playthroughs first. And then I won the other 3 games. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like I got much better. And a lot of it was just, instead of going like, ooh, that's different. Ooh, that's neat. Oh, look at all these awesome cards. I'm just like, no, that's neat, but I need to stay focused.
Right.
On my strategy.
So it was left to me to showcase the last 3 tiers of the game.
I showcased the Formaggio quite a bit.
You did.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So yeah, it was very interesting. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is maybe our favorite modules, or no?
I think so. Like, if we had to pick our essentials, like what are we always going to play with?
Yeah. And the great thing with the Viticulture box is I can take enough stuff out of the Viticulture box and put it into the Tuscany box, and then take all the stuff from our favorite modules from the Tuscany box and store it all in the Viticulture's box, which is awesome. So we can just have the one box with our favorite way to play.
Right.
That's kind of cool. So what is your favorite modules? And
well, let's go tier by tier.
Okay.
So, Tier 1 added some advanced visitor cards, the patron secret goals.
Yep.
It added the mamas and the papas.
Yep.
And the properties.
And these properties, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, no advanced board yet.
Correct.
Out of those, I would have to say my favorite module is the mamas and the papas.
Nice, yeah. Because the different starting, Yeah. Plus, by having a different startup for each player, everybody is going to be looking at maybe a different strategy right out the gate, kind of informed by that startup. I think that is a great way to play that.
And sometimes you get some pretty sweet bonuses too.
Yeah. Everybody gets good bonuses, which is awesome. But I love the fact that I don't know why you didn't plant more vine cards in the last game, because right out the gate you got a victory point for every vine card you planted.
I know, but my 2 fields were so balanced and good.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
didn't want to focus on planting any more vine cards.
True.
In the last game we played.
Yeah.
And it also adds the advanced visitors and the properties, which I think I will always play with.
Yeah. I think all of the modules from Tier 1 I would play with every single time. I actually really enjoy the patron secret goals a lot.
I can take or leave the patron secret goals. Like, they're good.
Yeah.
But I don't find... Sometimes it takes a little bit of my focus away from the game.
Gotcha.
And if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I don't really care one way or the other. So, I can play with them.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to get 3 points when you sell your wine.
Yep.
And 2 points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 5 points total for that.
Yep.
If you can get 5 points from doing a few other things differently, you might even get some extra points.
Yep.
So then I don't even have to waste my actions on this.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think if you're playing viticulture with just the tier 1 stuff, and you didn't dip into the expanded board,
yes,
then the patrons become really powerful, because I find you do get left with these wine tokens that there's not really anything you can do with.
Right. I was looking at it more of an overall, like my essentials box.
Oh, yeah. I do think, though, that with the advanced visitors, what you do have to do is you have to take the visitor cards that are the non-advanced versions and take them out. Because if you just throw them in there, it makes the deck too big and you're not going to get to those really good cards. Taking the not so good ones out, and it makes the deck much better.
It also depends on how many players you're playing with too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have the advanced ones in there, you don't necessarily need the base level ones.
Yeah.
If you're playing a 6-player game, maybe you do want some extra cards in there.
Maybe, yeah.
For variety.
Yeah, true. Right on. That's tier 1.
Right.
Tier 2.
That adds an extended board.
Yep.
And the structures. So the extended board is 2 sides, so you can play with the structures or without the structures.
Yep.
And then it's got the special workers and some new visitor cards.
Excellent. What do you think?
Well, I really enjoy the new wake up chart and the 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I like that it gives you a variety of what you get in between each season.
Yeah. The bonuses, and they're different in every season. You gotta wait to pass into each season to get that bonus.
Yes.
That makes that so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that the 4 seasons would be a little bit complicated, because then you have 4, to spread your workers over 4 places instead of just 2 now.
Yeah.
But once you get over that 1 or 2 first plays, then this is just, the 4 seasons is second nature.
Yeah.
And I really like it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
A lot. Honestly, I can see myself taking the old board and putting it in the Tuscany box to never be used again. And the extended board right into the boxes. We're always going to play with it.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt that we had a hand in helping make it.
So what he's talking about is the influence track for the provinces there.
Yeah.
That's the part that Justin submitted for the contest.
Yeah. And it's neat. I like it. I like being able to put the stars out, because there's a lot of choices there on what bonuses you would like to get for that. And then just keeping an eye on it to see if there's going to be any victory point scoring at the end. Which is neat. But I absolutely agree with everything you said about the wake-up chart. That is so much more interesting with the different levels, and there being 4 things to do each season. And keeping that kind of in mind, like, what am I going to do? The only thing about that's really important is, very early on I realized if there are going to be 4 seasons with that many different things to do, I need to get my worker force fast. In full right away. Like, you just can't wait on that at all.
No. Because if you have 4 workers, you can only ever do 1 thing each season, and that's just not enough.
No.
Like, sometimes it's more in the middle of the game, I think, that your 6 workers just isn't enough.
Yeah. Because
you're like, I've still got to plant vine cards. I've still got to make my grapes, and I've still got to make wine, and I got to play these visitor cards, and I only have 6 workers. But there, at the end of the game, it's like, wow, I've got 6 workers, and I don't really need them all. So it balances. Like, it's a nice. It's kind of frantic in the middle, and then kind of leisurely at the end.
Yeah. And then when you add the structures on top of that, some of the structures, hi Kaylee, some of the structures actually have spaces for you to put your people on it. So even that, like, you need your workers.
Yes.
Definitely.
And I really, really enjoy the structure cards.
Yeah, the structures are awesome.
I am so looking forward to, because we only played it a couple of times with the structures.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to, getting some more in-depth plays with those structure cards.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that sideboard there that you can put 2 structures on.
Yep.
But you can also place them in your fields.
Which is awesome.
And I just find that so interesting, because you could really plant a field like your 7. Get all the grapes you ever need to make your wine.
Yep.
And then just go nuts with structures and get all these structure bonuses.
Yeah.
Sounds really fun to me.
And they give you bonuses for the victory points, and then there's some very unique, interesting ways to score points and alternate strategies. There was one where it was a cafe. As long as I could keep lots of grapes on my crush pad, I could just put a person there and trade them in for victory points over and over and over again. And suddenly it's like, do I really need to fill a lot of orders if I could do this every turn?
The only reason you'd need to do that is if you've got someone with a real huge wine making engine, and you've got to block them on their orders or they're going to overtake you.
Yep.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I love the special workers.
Oh yeah, the special workers are awesome with the special powers, and there's a whole bunch of them, and you only get 2, and you're not really sure which 2 you're going to get. So every game's going to be different. And just the strategies that you can kind of bring out of using those workers, those are amazing. Yeah.
I find it takes me a few rounds to kind of really get into them, like to really use them to their maximum potential.
Yeah.
But I guess that's probably because we were playing with them for the very first time.
Yeah, and we made sure that every game, the previous workers we had played with were not in the deck.
Yeah.
So we would always play with new workers, which was awesome.
So in our 6 playthroughs, there's only 2 special workers that we didn't play with.
So the only special workers we didn't play with were the Traveler, the Soldato, and then there's another one that you can't use in a 2-player game. So those are the only ones that we didn't get to play with. But maybe we'll take these 2 and we'll play them in our tiebreaker game.
It depends on when we get the Moors expansion.
True.
Because there's another expansion coming out on the Board Game Geek store that we might want to be getting.
True.
In a little bit. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So it also adds a bunch of new visitors that you throw in with the cards. And I think, because we were talking about how if you're playing like with a lot of players, you might not want to take the lesser versions of the advanced visitors out. But as soon as you add the new visitors in, I don't think that's a problem anymore.
Yeah, from the tier 2.
Yeah. And the new visitors are awesome. They're really good. They're designed specifically to be useful regardless of when you get them in the game. Not that every card's always going to be useful, but just more useful. Whereas in the base game, there's a lot of people that complain that a lot of cards were only useful at very specific times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they were designed to be a little bit more balanced, where they gave you something you could use them for.
And then there's the 3 tiers of tier 3.
Yes. Which you can't use together. You have to pick one.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Mafia was kind of cool.
It was interesting.
It had to do with your Grande worker.
Yeah.
And there were gifts for the mob boss. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but...
Yeah.
And your Grande worker would like beat up the other Grande worker and like steal their gift.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a hot potato or secret, It'd probably be way better with more than just 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But it was interesting.
It was interesting. I couldn't really see me wanting to play with it very often.
But if we had a 4-player game, I'd want to try it.
Yeah.
To try it.
Yep, definitely.
And then there's the Arboriculture, which was the original expansion, I think, if you kickstarted Viticulture the first time.
Yeah.
They might have upgraded it, I think.
Yeah.
They upgraded it a little bit. But it's the one with the apples and the tomato sauce and the olive oil.
And the morale track. Yeah. Which was interesting.
Yeah.
That I did not enjoy that much.
Probably, I think I enjoyed the Formaggio better.
Yes.
Because it had to do with, like, the tomato sauce and the olive oil you could add on your order to get extra points, your wine orders.
Yeah.
But the Formaggio expansion just focuses on aging cheese. It's similar to wine. You're going to age your cheese and add those orders, or add those cheeses to your orders for extra points.
Yeah. Out of the 3 modules of Tier 3, the Formaggio was my favorite. So, if I was to play with a Tier 3 module, that would be the first one I would want to play with. Because I did enjoy that quite a bit. And some of the cheeses, if you can work them just right, can give you a lot of extra points.
I know. This one here, you can get up to 4 extra points for it.
And I was close.
Almost. Yeah. And it comes with little cow meeples, which is really cute.
Yeah.
And, I mean, animeeples. Anytime you can add animeeples to a game, it's awesome.
And I was surprised because when you place one of your workers down to make cheese, the bonus action is you get to take one of your stars and place it out. And you can either place it on the Formaggio mat to get special powers or into the influence track. So suddenly, you just have an extra place to interact with the influence map, which is just kind of neat. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that. It's probably one of the reasons why I like it. Plus the aging. You can actually get stuff aging and control it, which I like. It's kind of... It blends. I think it blends better with viticulture than the other two. Yeah.
Well, I mean, wine and cheese go so well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Yeah. So, what would be your essentials way to play?
I would have to play with the advanced visitors, the mamas and the papas, the properties, the extended board, the structures, the special workers, and we can throw in the new visitors as well.
Gotcha.
So basically all of tier 1 and 2, except I can take or leave the patron secret goals.
Gotcha. Okay. Me too. Basically, what I would like to do is set up into the viticulture box everything from tier 1 and 2. I would include the secret goal patrons because I do enjoy them. But I mean, if we didn't play them, we didn't play with them.
Yeah.
With, of course, the caveat that the less advanced versions of the advanced visitor cards are out because we do have the new visitors added in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially looking ahead to when we get the more visitors to add in expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be the way I would play it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's good that we're kind of on the same page because then we don't have to tear our stuff apart all the time.
Exactly. So we should probably also discuss, there's another version and it's called Viticulture Essentials.
Yeah.
And what we've done, we've taken some notes from the website. And if you want some more information, you can just go directly to stonemeyergames.com.
Yeah.
And that's going to give you all the information about Viticulture Essentials and Tuscany Essentials.
Yeah.
But we're going to go over a little bit about what we discovered when we checked out the website.
Because it can be very confusing. There's like Viticulture First Edition, there's Viticulture Second Edition, there's Viticulture Essentials, there's Viticulture and Tuscany, there's Tuscany Essentials. Oh my goodness, what's all this stuff?
Right.
Right on.
So let's see if we can kind of help out a little bit.
Yeah. And it helps that we did get Viticulture First Edition. So we did have to figure this out so we could get Tuscany and know how to combine it and have like the best version of the game.
Right.
If you have Viticulture First Edition, you can get an upgrade package from Stonemaier Games that will upgrade it to the second edition.
Yeah, they're probably still in stock.
Yeah. And the only thing that really does is actually really important is it upgrades the package to the Grande Meeples. And the Grande Meeple is a really big change with the game. It allows you that one opportunity to slide into a spot that somebody has already blocked you on.
Right.
And that does change the game quite a bit.
And it changed how you make your wine a little bit. I can't quite remember how you made wine in the first edition. Yeah. But in the second edition, it's different.
Yeah. We have the first edition board, so there are 2 cardboard tokens, and they just lie on top of those spaces to cover them up to give you the proper rules. So very easy to upgrade from first edition to second edition, and no reason to be upset about getting first edition and not second.
Right.
Yeah. So then, of course, that's Viticulture First and Second Edition, which is awesome. But there's also Viticulture Essentials. So what's that? Viticulture Essentials is Viticulture Second Edition, with almost, but not quite, all of the modules from Tier 1 of the Tuscany expansion.
Right. So on the website it says you're going to get the mamas and the papas, you're going to get your field cards, and you're going to get the selected visitor cards with the most balance to them.
So you're not quite getting all the cards, but you're getting some.
Right.
And you're not getting the secret patron goals.
Right. And you're also going to get those 24 cards for the solo variant, Automa. So you'll get that as well. Yeah.
Which we have in Tuscany, but of course we don't play games solo, so we didn't really show that off.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you've already got Viticulture First or Second Edition, and you think, ooh, I would like the Essentials, but the Essentials comes with Viticulture Second Edition, do I have to sell mine? You don't. Just like there's an upgrade pack that will upgrade your Viticulture First Edition to a Second Edition, there's also an upgrade pack that will upgrade your Viticulture Second Edition to Viticulture Essentials.
Right.
Which, of course, you can get from the Stonemaier website.
This is getting confusing. It is. I hope we're going through it in a good order.
I think we are.
Okay.
So the Viticulture Essentials also has a rules change.
Right, and it's an official rule that should be brought backwards into all versions of the game.
Yeah. Which we did not play with because we don't have Essentials. We have the Tuscany, and the rules hadn't been updated.
Right, and we didn't stumble across the right forum or even research the website before we started our playthroughs. So we didn't know that the rule existed.
There we go.
So we just kept it consistent when we did all our playthroughs. We played them consistently.
Yep.
But we should have been using the rule that when you use your tasting room
Yes.
and you're getting that victory point,
Mhm.
you actually have to have something in your wine cellar
Yeah.
for the visitors to
Taste.
have a snack of.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes thematic sense.
True.
But we didn't know.
Yep. And it doesn't, you don't have to give up your wine token.
Oh no, that's another thing.
Just as long as you have a wine token, it means you have a large store of this wine, that's what they're tasting.
Well, it's like when you go on a wine tour.
Yeah.
And they've got those big barrels with the tap on them, and they just go in a glass and you get some.
Yeah, a little tiny bit.
You're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've never been on a wine tour, but I've seen like commercials and like TV and stuff about it. So.
I don't know. It makes thematic sense, but at the same time, just because I don't have a huge store of wine, I'm still a winery or a vineyard, and I'm given a tour, which means I could have a little amount of wine for just the tasting.
I don't know, Justin. It's the new rule. You got to go with the new rule.
Well, you don't have to. It's strongly suggested you do. Moving on. There's also no more maximum victory points. So that was a big thing with viticulture, was there was a point that you got to that ended the game, and you could only go so many points ahead.
And then you had all the tiebreakers.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that's gone. If you hit the maximum, you just kind of keep going.
Right.
Which
and
I
even
like.
if you get to 40, you keep going?
Yeah, with the extended board, yeah. And I like that. I don't like the, oh, you hit the top, you can't go any further.
And now we're all tied.
Yeah, that's just silly. So there's the new rules with the Viticulture Essentials.
Right.
Which brings us to the Tuscany Essentials, which is coming out soon. So what does Tuscany Essentials add to Viticulture Essentials?
The website says you're going to get the extended board.
Yes.
You're going to get all the wooden star tokens for all the colors.
Nice.
You're going to get your 6 structure mats, your 36 structure cards.
Yeah.
You're going to get 11 special worker cards.
Okay.
And then 2 special worker meeples per player.
Okay.
Plus 2 generic workers, which I'm not sure. But that's what it says on the website.
Yeah. So whereas we have the Tuscany Kickstarter that gives us a specific, unique meeple for each of the special workers, there's just going to be 2 special workers.
Right.
To represent whichever 2 happen to come up. Mm-hmm. Which still works.
Yeah.
And you still get them, which is awesome. Yeah. So, almost, but not quite, but almost, if you get Viticulture and Tuscany Essentials, it pretty much becomes the game that is our essential version of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
You would just be missing the patron goals.
Yeah.
And then tier 3, like the arboriculture.
Right.
And Formaggio and the Mafia one.
Yep. And then, of course, the summer and winter visitor cards, our decks would be a little bit different than the Essentials deck.
Right.
But not a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And also because we got the Kickstarter, we got those exciting structures of the not to be opened.
Right.
It's a top secret.
Yeah, so
there's
spoiler.
a little bundle.
Their structures from?
From Euphoria.
Yeah, which is cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. But it's still interesting. Like, if we had missed out on getting Tuscany and we were like, oh, this is a bummer, we didn't get it. If we got Viticulture and Tuscany Essentials and threw them together, we very, very close to what our Essentials version of all of this would be.
Right.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. It's awesome.
So are there any rule changes that they listed on the website for the Tuscany Essentials?
There is one rules change that I don't like. And it's probably because we play this a lot as a 2-player game. But it is strongly recommended that in a 2-player game at the very end when you score the influence map for bonus points that there are no bonus points anymore.
Right. And I think I can understand why. Your eyeballs.
I know.
I understand why, because maybe someone's going to focus in on all of these.
Yep.
And the other player doesn't notice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got all the points.
Well, maybe somebody is focusing on the points track and somebody isn't, and suddenly the game is over and you didn't even know it.
Well, sometimes... Yeah, you mean the up to 25 points track.
Yeah.
Well, I can't help it if you don't keep an eye on where your cork is.
Well, I can't help it if you're not focusing on the influence map.
Well, I'm not saying I don't focus on the influence map. I'm just saying that in a 2-player game,
Yeah.
if someone's not focusing on that,
Yeah.
then the other player's going to run away with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 points.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
So I can understand why in a 2-player game they recommend not to.
No.
But, I mean, for me and you,
Yeah.
I'd score them. If I don't look there and see that you're overtaking me on it, it's my own fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how we play games anyway, so
Yeah.
that's just us.
Yeah. We'll have to have more playthroughs to really notice that, because whenever we play with something new, it is such a challenge for me to keep an eye on, oh my goodness, we're only 2 points away from the end of the game, and you're going to end the game right now. And it happens over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And in our very last playthrough, spoiler, it happened again, and the game ended, and I won only because we scored that map. Mm-hmm. And it was such an awesome close game. Mm-hmm. And I find that much more satisfying, more tense and exciting than, well, I just lost.
It made it really exciting because I thought I had the game in the bag.
So did I.
Spoiler. And then all of a sudden we score the map and we're tied.
Yeah.
And he wins with money?
$1! That was amazing. It was really cool. So yeah, so it adds a little bit more at the end of the game. You're not quite sure if you have it in the bag.
So I don't think it says as firmly as the other rule about the tasting room.
True.
I think it just says it's recommended for a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Whereas the other tasting rule specifically says this rule is for all other versions of viticulture.
There you go.
Mm. So. And then the only other rule that it says on the website was about Tuscany was if you've got the Tuscany, a version that we have, mm-hmm. you're meant to unlock the modules one by one.
Yeah.
Whereas the Tuscany Essentials, you just get all the modules and you can play with whatever you want. Yeah. Like you can mix and match them right away. Which
is what we did with what we have anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. So hopefully that makes it a little bit more clear. If you have something of viticulture or you don't have anything,
right,
what all the options are.
Right.
Because it could be a little overwhelming to think, if I need to get into viticulture, I'm going to have to buy all of this, and you don't. If you don't have any of this, I'd recommend Viticulture Essentials. Mm-hmm. And then if you really dug it and would like to get into more, then you can just add Tuscany Essentials on top. Mm-hmm. Easy.
And also on the website they talk about if Tuscany Essentials, what it's compatible with.
Okay, yeah.
It's supposed to be played with Viticulture Essentials.
Yes.
So if you're looking at this but you only have like 2nd edition Viticulture,
mm-hmm.
there's an upgrade pack you can... Yeah. Oh, we already talked about that. To upgrade your 2nd to your Essentials so that you can play your Tuscany Essentials with your Viticulture Essentials. Yeah.
Even though it's a little confusing, it is really nice that regardless of what you have, if you want to expand, you're not stuck in any way spending too much money.
And all, like I said, you have to do is go to the StonemeyerGames.com website, and you can find out all the information that we just kind of babbled on and maybe got kind of... We should have talked about this before we talked about that. You can go reread all that stuff that we conveyed to you and then get the scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think they're doing a Kickstarter for Tuscany Essentials.
No.
It's a pre-order system only, and it's on that website.
Yeah.
So if you go to StonemeyerGames.com and click on Tuscany and then Tuscany Essentials, you're going to find out how you can pre-order the game.
Yep.
And if you're super interested in it, the pre-order comes with that little bonus that we said earlier we would talk about later.
Yeah.
And what it is, it says... and I'll quote the website so I don't get anything wrong. Pre-order copies include 9 new special worker promo cards, which will be available through the Board Game Geek store.
We don't even have that.
So we have Tuscany, and we want that. So thank goodness, thank you, Jamie, that they're going to be on the Board Game Geek store, because we'll be keeping our eyes out for that.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's cool. That's Viticulture and Tuscany, and awesome. Kind
of a comparison to what the Essentials is different from what we have.
Yeah. And I remember when we first got Viticulture, and we enjoyed it enough that we immediately backed Euphoria.
Yes.
And became very interested in what Stonemaier Games was doing.
Because we missed the Kickstarter, the very first one ever.
Yeah.
But we got in on that Euphoria right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just really enjoyed it, and that's why we spent a lot of time play testing for his contest and got that done.
Both submitted entries for the contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as good as it was, how much better it is with Tuscany.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly can't really see going back to the original board.
Oh, no.
The extended board is just so
fabulous.
much more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many more things you can do.
Yeah.
And so many more things to explore. Like, there are still strategies in my mind. I'm like, I need to try that.
Me too. And we've played, like, the 6 game, well, actually more, because there was a couple of times we played just to prepare ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, because it had been a while since we played.
Yeah.
So 8 or 10 games, like, just in the last month.
Yeah.
And I still want to play.
Yeah.
Like.
That's awesome.
Good job.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Right on.
And in case you're curious about what I might have submitted, I'll just put it as a blooper at the end of the video. So, I mean, you can skip over it if you want, and we can say, thanks for watching our video.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Laters. So what did you submit?
So I submitted a cheese expansion, actually. And it's not exactly like the one that's in the game.
Yeah.
Because it was very complicated. Very, like, no wonder they didn't pick it.
In depth.
Yeah, because I had sheep, cows, and goats.
And they all made different kinds of cheese.
Well, whatever kind of cheese a sheep and a cow and a goat produce.
Yeah.
And then they were all Italian cheeses.
Nice.
And then I had new order cards. Because I researched which of those cheeses paired with what kind of wine.
Nice.
So the order cards only had, like, certain cheeses had to pair with certain wines.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly, like, what red wine went with what cheese.
We did a lot of research for our expansions.
I researched and researched and researched. Yeah. Mine was a 3-tier system because you had to get your livestock. And then you had to get them to make the cheese. And then you had to age the cheese in your cheese cellars.
And get the very specific
order. And then you had to get the orders from the order deck to, like... Anyway. Yeah, I'm not a game designer. I went crazy.
It was awesome, though.
It was fun.
Yep.
Thanks. That you can put 2 structures on. Oh, Kaylee scared me.
Kaylee's jumpy. You're okay.
Maybe I'll start that again.